Hi, everybody. Welcome to our 4 o'clock live. We are outdoors today. It's absolutely beautiful out here. I am with Jennings. Hello, Joe.
Hi.
How are you?
Great.
Good.
Really good. Good to be here.
We've just been chatting, sitting out in the front yard in Palos Verdes. And I don't know, you guys might be able to hear the birds, but the birds have been chirping. It's been a very zen experience. Joe was just talking to me about coming to terms with relaxing and taking that time to find your space. And how did you say it again? Because you said it so perfectly.
Well, it actually it had to do with this interview, how we were just talking about how it can be unsettling. Like just knowing that there's a camera on, that you're being recorded, and it can make you uneasy. You know what I mean? And for me, I know that there are times when I'll have, a great interview and I'll be able to articulate what's on my mind and it'll just flow, And then there are other times when, if I'm not centered, the thoughts are there. They just won't travel from my mind to my mouth.
Yes. And as you're saying this, I'm trying to take some deep breaths and be mindful of that, because it is so important in life, in anything that we're doing, to really be centered and be aware and be relaxed, and especially with what you do. Could you explain to everybody what you do for a living? Sure.
So I coordinate skydiving stunts. So when a producer has a project, they'll call me up and I'll help them pull together the, pretty much everything they need to get the job done. The aircraft, the location, pilots, qualified skydivers, anything that they need. And then once that's all in place, then I kind of shift gears and I'll let somebody else take over as the coordinator. And I'll become more like a choreographer, with the skydivers, where we'll talk about the action that we need to get, and the director will get involved, and we'll plan out dives and walk them through on the ground. And then I put on a helmet-mounted camera and jump out of the plane and film it. So that's crazy. That's my job.
So I know you are known for doing that. You have, like when I met you, we met at Lake Elsinore Skydive, and you had this camera and it was heavy, and you wear that.
Yeah.
So what is that? Like, how did that happen? How did you create that? Is that something that you buy, or what is it exactly that you were wearing?
It's sort of a combination. I mean, the helmet is, it's a helmet that skydivers can buy to carry cameras. It's slightly modified to carry the heavier camera. And the heavy camera that I'm carrying is kind of a stripped down version of a Red Dragon camera. It's a digital cinema camera for filming movies and things like that. And so basically, you just try to reduce as much weight as you can, going with smaller lenses and smaller batteries and everything that you can find to make it smaller. And then it's still pretty heavy. It's about, 13 pounds, which is, it's a chunk. It's kind of like putting a bowling ball.
Yeah, it was like a bowling ball. It was very heavy. So we're going to have some other footage that you guys will be able to check out and see what that really is, because it's pretty impressive. So with these skydives and the stunts, I know you've done some really cool stuff. I know one of them was it for Point Break, the movie? What happened with that one? I remember you describing it to us that day when you were throwing out money, and were you on a couch, or what was that scene?
Okay, so for the beginning of Point Break 2, there's a sequence that the movie opens up with a C-130 military aircraft flying through the sky, and then you see the floor pop up, and these ninja type rebels kind of come out of the floor and open up the back door and release these huge pallets of money into the sky. And so our job was to film, these pallets coming out into the sky and then in free fall as these guys fly around them and release them and so on. Right. So that was our job. All right. We need to build these objects that will fall at a speed that's comfortable for us to fly with, and that will allow them to, turn them into money pallets.
Got it.
So in reality, I mean, it wasn't like these were like actual money pallets. They were, steel frames weighted down, to weigh about 700 or 800 pounds each.
Wow.
And then put into free fall and kind of, rigged up to stay upright.
Yeah. It looked really cool. What would you say was your favorite stunt you've ever done? I know I've seen some stuff where you're on a couch or some of the videos I've watched. What was your favorite thing of all time that you've done over the last 35 years or so? That's how long you've been doing this for, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's funny. Like I've been to every continent on the planet except for the Antarctic, and have just filmed in some incredible places. But I think what I really like more than anything is putting together objects or making things fly, like making a car fly wheels to earth. Like, how can we shove a car out of an airplane and keep it from tumbling? How can we actually make it come and settle onto the air and just kind of fall right side up?
Yeah.
And so early in my career, I started, throwing objects out of airplanes and just working on them aerodynamically with little fairings and things to kind of manipulate how they respond to the air. So to make them fall fast enough so that we could skydive with them, but then also make them so they would fall upright and not spin around too fast. So it was kind of like a combination of like geeking out on fluid dynamics and all of that. And then on top of that, it was like, okay, then you crash these things into the desert, which is kind of fun in itself. One of my favorite projects was a few years ago. It was like an entire flying living room for NVIDIA. It was really cool. They contacted me talking about having a free fall living room, and the director wanted to do as much of it practically as possible without using special effects.
Okay.
And so the whole idea is like, how do we make this entire living room fly?
Yeah.
And so you have to build a platform that will fly and then build the living room onto the platform.
Wow.
And that was our challenge, and we pulled it off. It was pretty amazing.
That is amazing. I couldn't imagine that, a whole living room flying, but I'm sure it was absolutely amazing.
It was great. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's really, it's like, when you have a project like that, it's not just going out to shoot. It's like a whole month of like building and all-nighters and, junk food and getting dirty and just kind of, and then just ironing out details and problems that you might have. And there's like always like hundreds of things that you have to manage, you know? I love the whole process.
When we had met at Skydive Elsinore, I was really inspired by you. I just absolutely love what you do. And you motivate me to push through fears, because I'm terrified to jump out of a plane. I would love to do it, but when I think about it, I can't do it. So I did the ride along. I went up in the airplane, and that's as far as I got. I'm terrified of heights.
Oh, you didn't want to do it? You didn't do a tandem, huh?
I didn't. I'm so terrified of heights that I couldn't do it. And so I just thought your story and your experience would be so motivational to people that struggle with any sort of fears, or being able to take that initial step to try something different. So for you, how did you get into jumping out of an airplane? How did that even happen? How are you able to overcome that space that is so fearful for so many?
You know, it was, I think like anybody, it was just something that I wanted to try, you know? And so my girlfriend and I went out to a parachute center up near San Francisco. And we just, you know, we did the standard skydiving course like anybody else would do. And I remember doing it. I remember the smells of the equipment. I remember the atmosphere. I remember the people who were there. I mean, it all left an impression before I even jumped out of an airplane. It was just this environment that felt, you know, just kind of gritty and cool, and you know what I mean? And then we went up for a skydive, and I was petrified. I mean, I was, you know, the fear that I felt, I remember the fear clearly. And then overriding it, and literally finding out that the training they were giving me was built to override that fear. They teach you every step. Right hand, left hand, right foot, left foot. Take a breath, look in at the instrument. You know, each step you do, because you're so petrified. If you don't know those steps, if you haven't, you know, thought those through, you're going to freeze up partway through. So they give you they give you these little baby steps one at a time. And the next thing you know, you're hanging out on the wing of an airplane looking at your instructor, and the instructor's like, and it's funny because this instructor was, you know, this really cool guy, but he had a beard and he was hungry, and he's having his lunch on the way up. And I remember him looking out at me, you know, telling me, get ready to go. And he's got crumbs blowing out of his beard, what? You know, and I'm looking at him like, and I'm just thinking this whole thing is insane. You know? But here I am, I've taken all these steps, and I'm stepping, you know, I'm on the wing, and I'm petrified. And then you're supposed to, you know, this is a static line jump where your chute opens automatically. And I remember stepping off, you know, and letting go, and you're supposed to say arch 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, and then your parachute opens. And I just screamed. You know what I mean? I didn't say arch 1,000, you know, and the instructor actually commented on that later. He said, all I heard you do was just go, wah! You know, out the door. And then I felt my parachute open, and I don't know, it was like at the time, I think, like an awakening for me.
It's so interesting the way that you say that, because it reminds me a lot of people that are in recovery, excuse me, and taking things, we're told, one step at a time, and at times these baby steps, and to follow direction. So when you're saying that you were explained how to do this, and you took one step and the other, and it brought you to this space, it's like you were describing our process of going through getting sober. So I love how you said that.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So that's how you do it. That's sort of the process.
Yeah, that's kind of the process. One step at a time.
Okay.
So you jump out of a plane. What did it feel like after that initial fear, and you're screaming, and emotionally, how did it feel to do that?
Just an exhilaration I could hardly describe, you know? And I don't know if that's actually true for everybody. I think a lot of people do it. Like my girlfriend at the time, she loved it, but it was like, we did it. I might do it a few more times, but you know, it's a good experience. I think for me, it was like, it was sort of beyond exhilaration that I felt like I understood, you know? It almost felt like it was exhilarating and had meaning at the same time. And I just knew, like, this is going to be a part of my life in one fashion or another. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with it, but I want to be involved, you know, with these people, with this environment, you know. And I actually got into packing parachutes for a while. When I was just learning to skydive, and it was just, I don't know. I like the fabric. I like the whole environment.
Yeah, the culture of it.
Yeah.
And that's so important that when people are trying to find what they're interested in and their passions, that they immerse themselves in different activities and finding that culture.
Yeah.
You know, because like you said, it's not just about jumping out of the airplane. It's all these other things and
Yeah.
people and the vibe and finding your people.
It is
so important.
It is. Yeah, and I think that it's you know, that's one of the big benefits of going out and trying some of these different things is that you know, we often expect them to be kind of fun and exhilarating, and you know, what we don't expect is that they can be life-changing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That you're going to find something that really resonates, and you're going to just think, yeah, this is good. This is something that I see myself doing.
To open your heart and yourself up to trying new experiences.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like with extreme sports in general, mm-hmm. you know, I think that the value of going out and trying them is that, you know, you might just find out what you're good at.
Mm-hmm. What you're capable of.
What you're capable of.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. In this arena, I've become very comfortable over time. Mm-hmm. You know, experience, having done it. It's something that I can just hop out of bed and just go do without feeling anxious at all. You know, some jobs are demanding, and you know, and the adrenaline goes up, and competing can be, you know, very unsettling.
They have waited a long time for this moment. The defending world champions, the favorites in our competition, Rob Harris and Joe Jennings of the United States.
You know, you train all year for competition, and then you have to go and perform. I think overall in, you know, skydiving and filming and stunt coordination, I feel very comfortable.
Joe Jennings does this for a living, and he's absolutely dead on holding the angles. Joe's dead on level, shows the judges everything because he's confident that what Rob's going to do is going to be right on.
But, you know, projects and relationships and things will come along that challenge me all the time. It might be something that's, you know, technically difficult, or it might be something that, like, you know, you take the free fall living rooms, for example. Mm-hmm. You know, you spent, you know, 3 or 4 weeks building this thing, and now you're sitting in a large airplane and it's about to come out the door, and you're wanting everything to work, and you just feel, you know, kind of almost overwhelmed by, you know, the butterflies and anxiety and all of that, mm-hmm. right? And I think one of the things I learned how to do when I felt those things in competition, you know, a certain focus would take over, mm-hmm. and I'd find myself really, really focused. And I found that, you know, I could actually perform really well, even when I was scared. And so that was really valuable in mm-hmm. the work that I do, because sometimes it can be scary. Mm-hmm. And if you can perform well when you're under pressure, you know, that's a big, I think it's a requirement, I think, for being able to do this in the long, you know, for the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's such a good message to people, and people struggling is that it's not always going to be easy. It's going to be tough. Sometimes you're going to feel like you're going to be overwhelmed and have an anxiety attack, or you can't do it, and you're feeling all these things physically. But if you can push through that fear, on the other side are all these opportunities.
Yeah, again, it's getting out of your own way. You know what I mean? And learning to manage as best as you can some of those fears, you know, because those fears are still there. I'm still, you know, I still deal with my own anxieties about a whole variety of things, and I still get in my own way, mm-hmm. you know, and I'm still, you know, evolving in that way, mm-hmm. you know.
Feel the fear and do it anyways.
Yeah, and try not to let fear be your guide, mm-hmm. you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Don't let fear be your guide. Great information. What would you tell someone out there that is fearful to try something new? What would be your suggestion to them?
I would say, do your homework, work with people who are, if you're going to try something new, get a good teacher or go to a place that's reputable where they, they'll take care of you so you can go and learn to do something new and you can do it safely. I would say that overall it's just worth it. It's just so worth it. If you can put yourself out there to try a variety of new things, there's a good chance you're going to either find something that changes you or teaches you something about yourself. And I think there's a lot of value in it. So I think it's just worth doing.
It's just worth it. No matter what, it's worth it.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
What's something you haven't done yet that you want to do?
Man, I've done a lot of what I want to do. I'm trying to think, what do I
even
want
doesn't
to
even have
do?
to be something that's an extreme sport. Just something, maybe it's inward work, maybe it's something to do personally, in a different way, spiritually, anything that you still feel like you want to do or work on.
I think work on is a good, is a good way of putting it. Like I'd like to learn more and more about, getting out of my own way, about just sort of engaging life and engaging people, and putting myself out there. In skydiving, I love learning new things. Like I've been learning about flying wingsuits, which I've known how to do.
Cool.
They're beautiful. I mean, it's amazing to fly them, and I've been doing it for a while. But I'm still, I consider myself kind of a novice, which is great because there are people out there who are really good teachers, and learning something new is wonderful. So I'm excited about exploring that.
How does that, can you try to describe to us how that feels? Because I know it's one thing to jump out of a plane, but to feel like you're actually flying across the sky.
Yeah.
What does that feel like?
It's incredible. I mean, the suits, the wingsuits that they have built now are built with these they're kind of like vents that capture air and inflate the wings into actually a real wing, like a real wing surface area that gives you lift in a way like an airplane.
It gives me goosebumps.
It's amazing. I mean, it's like, it really becomes like almost like a rigid wing, right? And so now a skydive that might have taken, 45 seconds to a minute, now you're up there gliding along for 2 minutes, maybe even 3, and you can fly around things. You're not just flying past things. So one of the things that I find really beautiful about flying wingsuits is just the ability to go up and fly around clouds.
Wow.
Like you see a whole formation of clouds, and you can, and rather than just seeing them and falling past them, you're actually able to go fly over to them and go down through holes in them and fly up around. I mean, it's incredible. I'll show you some of the footage that we were able to capture.
I would love to see that.
It's beautiful.
What is going through your mind? Do you even have a lot of thoughts when you're going through that, or are you just really focused on what's presently happening right at that very moment?
It's focus and exhilaration because it's new. In my work in filming skydiving stunts, it's more like it's focus, and then it's all about getting the shot. Am I getting the shot? I'm on a mission. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But flying wingsuits, and it's like I'm learning new ways of flying. I'm learning how this thing feels, and I'm up, gliding around these clouds.
Yeah.
And it's So it's focused and just this exhilaration that just feels beautiful.
Focus and exhilaration sounds like
it's a great combination.
Sounds like heaven.
It's pretty beautiful.
Yeah,
I really like it.
It sounds. I wish I could find the courage to do it. Who knows? Maybe one day I will. I wanted to ask you, what would you say is the most important, most valuable thing that you have learned about yourself through this process?
I think that I'm capable of working through and surviving very difficult things. That I'm capable of working under pressure when there's a big project that where there's a lot of assets and a lot of expenses involved, and we are under a lot of pressure. I found that I've been able to perform pretty well in those environments. I've also found that I'm able to manage, and I don't know if I do it very well, but I do it well enough to carry on with my life. It's when difficult or tragic things happen. I've found that I've been able to carry on, through things that I didn't think I would be able to get through.
Right, being able to get through those struggles and overcome, having that strength. Yeah,
and I think we learn about ourselves because when you're going through something, and I've gone through, I've lost close partners. I've gone through, depression as a result, and I've been through those, depression by itself. You feel like you're learning nothing. Like, how could I possibly be learning anything? All I feel is a void. All I feel is just this intense miserableness. What could I possibly be learning right now? Only to find out that you are. Like you actually are learning something because you come out of it with a different sense of gratitude. Maybe something that you took for granted before, you're not taking for granted anymore because you've been through that dark period.
Right.
So as wonderful as my career is, there is a price to pay for it sometimes, and there were a few times where I just told myself, all right, well, I'm done. I'm not going to do this anymore. And then I found I was able to get through it and carry on. So I'm grateful for that.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing all of this. You are fascinating. Honestly,
Thanks.
Your story is so fascinating in what you do and what you're able to overcome and push through, and having those losses and high moments, and it's all worth it at the end, and that ever growing experience within yourself, and your own personal growth. It's really fascinating. So thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh, thank you. I enjoyed it. I wish we could just keep going. This is great.
Well, we'll have to go and do it again sometime.
Okay, terrific.
Maybe there won't be so many leaf blowers and trucks around, but
this was kind of wild, wasn't it?
But that's okay. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.